Welcome to the Alternative World Cup experiment. The World Cup may be sport's greatest spectacle, but qualifying for it is often mundane and rarely throws up massive shocks, meaning only a select few nations will ever make it through to the finals of football's greatest prize. Therefore, I have decided to scrap the current continental format of qualification in favour of my new method. I split the Earth into 4 quadrants, with the equator, Greenwich Meridian and 12-hour plus lines being my dividing lines. Each section is awarded an amount of qualification places based on how many countries take part in the qualifying, not the strength of the countries. The Northwest, which encompasses North America and the west coast of Europe and Africa, plus a couple of South American countries, has 13 places. Southwest, which has the rest of South America, is allocated just 2 places. Southeast, which contains all of Oceania and Southern Africa, cedes 8 places. And finally, Northeast, which includes Asia, the rest of Europe and Africa, gives 24 places, leaving one more slot for the hosts. On a further note, the World Cup is now played once every 2 years, and so in order to facilitate this, I have removed all other international competitions so we can focus on the main part of this experiment. With it all explained, let's see how it pans out. The first real change came when he qualified for the World Cup. As I made it into a 48-team competition, like it will be after its expansion, there was always going to be some unusual qualifiers. Also, unsurprisingly, was most of the teams that were qualifying for the first time came from the southeast region, the area where the national teams are the weakest. Here, Australia and South Africa were dominant in qualifying. They qualified for all 3 World Cups, although Australia only scraped through in the 2022 qualifying. The 2 teams that really took their chance to qualify were Zambia and Burundi, who both qualified twice compared to never qualifying before. All in all, 9 nations from this region qualified for the first time. Also, another shock also occurred in this section when Kiribati, a nation not even recognised by FIFA, made it to the group stage phase of the competition by beating American Samoa. In the southwest region, it was comparatively boring, with only 3 different teams qualifying: Brazil, Uruguay and Argentina, whom are all perennial winners. Due to this, Venezuela and Colombia will be delighted they just scraped above the equator, which dramatically boosted their qualification chances, as they faced Aruba and Bermuda, not Brazil and Argentina. This led to Venezuela qualifying for their first World Cup, and in a similar vein, due to being left of the Greenwich Meridian, Mali transformed from a never qualifying to World Cup mainstays, qualifying for all 3 tournaments. 5 first-time qualifiers came from this region. Finally comes the hardest region to qualify from. The Northeast encompasses all of Asia, most of Europe and some of Africa, and originates with over 100 teams trying to make it through to the World Cup. It was mostly dominated by the European and African heavyweights, although it did see 5 first-time qualifiers, most notably Benin and Uganda of Africa. At the World Cups, either side of England finally gaining that second star, Italy returned to the pinnacle of national football, winning 2 out of the 3 World Cups and beating shock finalists in the shape of Australia for us to triumph against the aforementioned England. In terms of underdog stories in 2020, Burundi made it out of their group with both Mali and Israel winning in the round of 32, plus Turkey knocking out Brazil. All 3 then proceeded to crash out in the round of 16, with an excruciating close loss on penalties to Algeria being Mali's fate. Then, in 2022, both Zambia and Gabon made it out of their groups, but were brutally shown up in the knockout stages, with Gabon being dismantled 7-0 at the hands of France. Mali once again made it through the first round, and this time were joined by the Dominican Republic of Congo, all before a quarter-final meeting between 2 underdogs in Venezuela and Turkey finished 3-1 to the Europeans, who would go on to make the final. In 2024, the only real shock was Australia's performance, with Mali, Dominican Republic of Congo and Zambia all being eliminated in the first round. On a final note, these changes to the World Cup have actually affected the world rankings, with Mali having the greatest success and moving up 48 places. I'm going to do a second part to this video because obviously so far we've only done 3 World Cups, so next time we'll go to probably 2030 and see what the situation in national football looks about then to determine if we add a part 3. So, see you then.